The global journey toward a sustainable future is not just choice. It is a profound necessity. We are at a critical juncture where the dual challenges of climate change and the ever-growing need for energy security demand our immediate and collective action. And the energy transition isn't just about switching fuels. It's a transformative process that brings immense benefits, including enhanced climate resilience, economic diversification through new industries, improved energy security by reducing reliance on volatile fossil fuel markets, and the creations of high-value green jobs. It is a pathway to a more resilient, prosperous, and equitable society. However, this journey is not without hurdles. We face significant challenges from addressing technology gaps and ensuring infrastructure readiness to secure adequate financing access for large-scale projects and navigating market distortion that can hinder clean energy deployment. We need to work together to overcome these obstacles. Today we have with us a truly exceptional panel of leaders from Malaysia, a country that has made a clear commitment to a progressive and just energy transition. They will share Malaysia's vision and its national energy transition roadmap, a comprehensive strategy to decarbonize its power, mobility and industrial sector. We will explore the critical levers for progress, the importance of policy coherence, the role of private investment, the power of technological innovation and necessity of robust regional cooperations. So, before we proceed, let me just have quick introductions to our esteemed panels. We have with us our panelist number one is Madam Safina. She is the Executive Officer, the Chief Executive Officer of Energy Commission Suruhanjaya Tenaga in Malaysia. She began a career in the telecommunication and digital economy sector, having served at Telecom Malaysia Group and Digital Economy Corporation (MDEC). She later joined Khazanah National, Malaysia Sovereign Wealth Fund, where she held various leadership roles in the governance, risk, and compliance division, as well as in strategic planning and portfolio management. Her portfolio include implementations of sustainable investing practices and engagement with global institutional investors, regulators, and foreign funds, and sovereign funds. She was also a board member of VCAP Asset Managers. In February 2021, she was appointed as the Chief Executive Officer of My Power Corporation, a special purpose agency under the Ministries of Energy and Natural Resources. At My Power, she led the coordination and implementation of power supply industry reform initiative in Malaysia. Let's give her a warm welcome. The second panelist, we have with us the honor of Dato' Hamzah Hussein. He was appointed as the Chief Executive Officer of SEDA Malaysia on the 22nd February 2021. He began his career in the administrative and diplomatic service in 2003 as the Assistant Secretary in the Finance Division, Ministry of Education, and served in various ministries and district administrations. Dato' Hamzah also has a vast experience as Senior Private Secretary to Ministers and Deputy Ministers in various ministries, namely Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Defence, Prime Minister's Department, Ministry of Information, and also the Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources. Apart from that, Dr. Hamzah also has notable experience in the field of land administration and management, as well as managing development projects. In 2014, he was appointed as the District Officer of Krian Perak for a period of 2 years. Dr. Hamzah also made history when he was appointed as the first District Officer for the newly established District of Bagan Datuk Perak in May 2016. His in-depth portfolio and vast experiences in the field of management, administration, strategic planning, and government policies are valuable attributes which are of great relevance to Malaysia's sustainable energy agenda. Let's give a big hand to Dr. The third panelist, we have Dato' I.R. Megat Jalaluddin Megat Hassan. He is Currently, the President and the Chief Executive Officer of Tenaga Nasional Berhad, driving the company with a mission to brighten lives through innovation and sustainable energy solutions. As the former Chief Operating Officer, he propelled TMA's business growth and steered its energy transition agenda towards net zero emissions in line with Malaysia's carbon neutrality goal by 2050. He previously served as the Chief Strategies and Venture Officer and Chief Retail Officer. He also holds the position as an adjunct professor at UNITEM and served on esteemed advisory panels such as the Industrial Advisory Panel IAP for Bachelor of Electrical and Electronic Engineering with honors at the University Technology Petronas. Furthermore, he contributes his experience and expertise as a member of the advisory board of Asia IoT Business Platform and as the head of SIRIM Malaysia Technical Working Committee Group on Electrical Energy Measurement. With a proven track record spanning over 30 years, he is a visionary leader, adept at transforming organizations across operations, strategy, and customer services. Let's give a big hand to and of course, let me introduce our last panelist. This is my dear friend, my long friend, Mr. Ezhar Yazid Jafar. He is currently the Chief Representative of Petronas in Japan. He joined Petronas in 1990 as a civil engineer. His early career was shaped by strong environmental consideration through rigorous impact assessment, which influenced his long life commitment to sustainability. Over more than 3 decades, Ezhar rose through diverse leadership roles, including human resource management, business development for Indochina, and serving as CEO of Petronas LNG Limited, before being appointed to lead the Japan office in 2020 at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Based in Tokyo, he now oversees Petronas' broad LNG, crude oil, petrochemicals, lubricants, and emerging clean energy solutions such as hydrogen and renewables. Under his leadership, Malaysia has remained Japan's second largest LNG supplier, meeting around 17% of its import in 2022, alongside strong market presence in petroleum and petrochemicals. Ezhar also champions Petronas' Net Zero 2050 agenda, fostering collaboration with Japan's government and industry on clean energy transitions, carbon capture and storage, and hydrogen development, supported by initiatives such as the ASEAN Zero Energy Community and Japan's Green Innovation Fund. For Ezhar, the essence of his leadership in Japan is a balance of pragmatism, partnership, and passion for a sustainable future. Let's give a big hand to Mr. Ezhar. Without further ado, let's go to the first question that I will be asking Madam Safina for that question. And Madam Safina, now how is the Energy Commission ensuring regulatory framework remain adaptive to support NETR and new technologies?
Thank you, Mr. Romaisi, and happy to be here at the Malaysia Pavilion for Expo 2025, and I'm happy to see all of you. A very good turnout today. First and foremost, I think when it comes to the Energy Commission, our objective remains very clear, right? It's always very challenging, you know, with or without the energy transition, to really talk about how do we provide the supply of energy to the consumers that balances what we call the energy trilemma before, right? And the energy trilemma is really about providing reliable energy, clean energy, and also affordable energy to the consumers. Now, with the energy transition, we've also seen that the trilemma, so you're trying to balance these 3 objectives, the trilemma has also changed into and evolving more and more into what is a quadrilemma. So we're trying to now balance with economic development and growth, because that also talks about how the energy transition is actually going to be very different for very, different countries. So therefore, we have to take a very pragmatic approach to that. But the objective to balance all these 4 elements actually remains the same, and that is the role of the regulator. And when it comes to the Energy Commission, we see ourselves as really central, or at the center of the three main stakeholder groups that we have to also, make sure we protect their interests, right? And they do have somewhat competing interests. First is, of course, we have the government policies, right? And with the government policies, sometimes you have different sort of policies that may or may not, that needs to also align. So that's where we have to also play our role in terms of aligning the government policies. For example, government policy may say, I want to accelerate the energy transition faster, right? But of course, at the same time, we know it's going to cost more. And then the government says, but you can't charge people this much, right? So we have to therefore balance the different policies and ensure that they are all aligned and in tandem. The second group is really the group of consumers, right? They're at the end. They are the ones, the ones that we are serving. Why are we producing energy in the first place? It is for the consumers. And of course, consumers have very different interests. If we're talking about industrial consumers, they want to ensure that they get competitive sort of energy, right? And now we have cost-conscious consumers, not just cost-conscious consumers, but ESG consumers. They want clean energy, and they want green energy that will come with renewable energy credits to certify, to say, yes, they are, tick the box on the ESG requirements that they need to fulfill. So consumers are changing, right? And they all have different sort of requirements, etc. So we need to serve that. And of course, when it comes to the general public, no one wants to pay more for energy. We need to ensure that it is electricity that can be supplied at costs that they can afford. So there are, again, different sorts of interests within just the consumer group. And then on the third one is really the industries. The industries who will supply the energy. And the industries, of course, they want to maximize profit, right? That's a given. When industries, build to supply energy, no one wants to do it for free. It's not a social obligation. You want to make returns. But how do we ensure that industries are not also, shortchanging the consumers, but also are trying to give what is a fair return for the industry so that they will serve the consumers well. And behind the industries, of course, there are the financiers and the bankers, etc., that we need to look at. So that's how we see, how do we look at aligning those different interests of the stakeholders, and that's where the regulators right front center there. And so the role of the regulation is to ensure that, number one, we are committed to actually provide create a competitive and also fair and transparent landscape for all these parties. And that's what we do within regulation. Second is, we ensure that when we do our regulation, that it also ensures that it's not just balancing the economic interests of the aspects, but we're also balancing with the technical and safety aspect. We want to ensure that when we have the standards that are being applied within Malaysia for battery energy, for example, or battery energy storage, for example, it's also safe and of a particular standard that is what we want in terms of building that in Malaysia. And then, of course, we want to ensure that at the end of the day, when they pay for all this electricity, it must be fair and transparent as well. So all of that is really towards the interests of all these different stakeholder groups that we must serve. So that is the role of the Energy Commission overall.
Thank you, Madam Sabina. As I think you can hear from her briefings, it's actually the scope of ST, or Energy Commission, is quite big. It covers quite a number of things in the range as well. And it's good that we have everything aligned, as what we hear from her, in terms of making sure that all parties that are involved in the energy business is all being also protected, primarily the consumer side. So on that note, I would like to move to Dato' Hamzah. So Dato' Hamzah, so how is SEDA supporting Malaysia's renewable energy growth under NETR? You can elaborate on that.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good evening to all of you, especially Mr. Romaizi, my fellow panelists, and also ladies and gentlemen. Talking about NETR, I'm not sure if everybody ever heard of this so-called hot policy that has been introduced in our country, Malaysia, like 2 years ago. But before that, we launched Malaysian Renewable Energy Roadmap first, and after that we have the National Energy Policy. And that's 2 years ago, Malaysia announced the NETR, National Energy Transition Roadmap. When I first joined SEDA back in 2021, I was wondering why. I mean, the industry players are looking for a more open policy, a catalyst, okay, that can push the renewable energy industry further. So, alhamdulillah, finally we have it under NETR. And as you all can read in the newspaper, our Prime Minister will always mention about NIMP and also NETR as the catalyst for the Malaysian economy. So, for me, NETR is a very bold and ambitious policy introduced by our government. It covers almost everything from renewables, the energy efficiency, hydrogen, CCUS, everything. Okay, so the role of SEDA, of course, to make sure that the execution of the policy goes very well. And for those who don't know about SEDA, the Sustainable Energy Development Authority was established back in 2011. The main role is to run the feed integrity program in Malaysia. So we are lucky. Malaysia is quite lucky because the feed integrity program starts the renewables energy industry in the country years ago, especially under the FIT program. So if I can mention here, until June 2025, the FIT program has produced almost 1.3 gigawatt of green energy, producing almost or created more than 5,000 jobs, green jobs, in direct and indirectly, and also sorry, because I just saw someone put up a play card saying that I have 7 minutes left. I think I just started my introduction. Okay, all right. So that's about FIT. And the most important thing is that the FIT created about more than 13 billion ringgit, and 40% of it comes from foreign investment. Okay, I think that's the most important thing to mention at this World Expo. Okay, that we are opening opportunities for foreign investment. Moving forward, as Puan Sapina mentioned, that the world are looking for green energy, cost-effective green energy. So we introduced last year the new version of the Intake program, FIT 2.0. In the next 5 years, we plan to offer around 1,045 megawatts and looking for investment, more than 13 billion. And as I mentioned earlier, we're still looking for foreign investor to come in to partner with Malaysian companies to bid for the quota under FIT program. And besides FIT, of course, under NETR, previously we ran the net energy metering program. It's another big program that government of Malaysia introduced. We just ended last June, and we are waiting for Puan Sapina to come out with a new program very, very soon, perhaps. Okay, because this I think contributes more than almost 2 gigawatt of green energy on the residential, commercial industry, and of course now we are pushing for the government buildings as well. Put up the solar on the rooftops. So in short, SEDA's function under the NETR, besides the renewable energy through FIT, we are also focusing on the energy efficiency under a few programs. So I think that's all for now.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hamzah. So I think the first two panelists are very much representing the views from the government, the regulators, and the executors of the RE initiative, including FEEDs and NEMs, and quite a number of other things as well. So that actually paid very good opportunities for investment as far as what's available in Malaysia is concerned. We're going to now switch the view to the business and see what we can get out of from the business side. So, Dato' Bhagat, how is TMB preparing the national grid for Malaysia's energy transition?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon, Mr. Director, esteemed panelists, distinguished audience in the afternoon. So first and foremost, thank you very much for giving the opportunity for the National to be part of the session today. As it is, the National as a company, we are involved in the whole value chains of the electricity industry, generation, transmission, distribution, as well as having more than 10 million registered account holders in Malaysia. So one of the elements that Tenaga is expected to deliver is actually to look after and own the grid, the national grid, as well as the distribution network. So if you look from the past, the pre-energy transition perspective, the network is seen as connecting the supply generation of electricity to the customers. And the supply normally comes from a centralized big power plants. So the grid is there to transport it to the customers. So under the energy transition landscape, we are seeing this changing in a number of ways. One is that countries and business always look into the new RE generation sources, and technology provides those opportunity for those new technology, especially the abundance of solar in Malaysia, and to a certain extent throughout the world we can see that wind energy become more and more prominent. So this actually changed the landscape with respect how the network operates. So the first key changes happen is that under the traditional mode of electricity delivery, the grid works in a single way direction. But in the energy transition today, we can see that the grid becomes bi-directional. And the generation not only comes from the centralized generation that we have seen in the past, but also coming from the customers. So we are also seeing the emergence of what we call prosumers, customers that can generate and put the energy to the grid, but at the same time consume from the grid. So this is the landscape of energy transition for the grid. So definitely to ensure that we be able to support the policy as well as the delivery expected, the grid has to be ready with respect to the energy transition landscape. So what does it mean by readiness? I think the first key element is that we have to make the grid flexible. Flexible in the sense that it should be able to absorb or accept multiple sources of energy that is coming from the centralized generation as well as from the customer. So making the grid flexible is the key with respect to the energy transition. Second, we also see that the various technology of generations make it a complex operations of the grid. Meaning that, for example, solar has a good characteristic by itself, whereby it is intermittent in nature. It is only available for 4 hours a day and also can be distributed. So the complexity of this requires that the grid becomes smart. What is it mean by smart? Meaning that we should be able to keep the lights on without any interruption, regardless of the characteristic of the generation that we have. So these are the two main key elements with respect to the grid readiness. To make it flexible, to accept various type of generations, conventional plus RE. At the same time, smart enough to ensure that the electricity reliability will be there all the time, 24/7. So this is a key element in terms of the investment that national utility like Tenaga is doing to ensure that we have a smart grid so that it can propel the ambitions of the energy transition and also getting the net zero 2050 target achievable. So these are the main focus that we are currently doing with respect to the national grid. And of course, with respect to this current opportunity, with respect to the economic development for the country. I think Madam Sabrina put it rightly, that it is going to be a quadlemma rather than a trilemma, because we have to balance the economic development of the country as well with respect to the energy transition landscape. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato'. So I think we have heard the three panelists. On the regulatory sides, there is ambitions to making sure that we're moving ahead with the energy transition, achieving the desired 2050 net zeros, and we also have heard about the projects being handled by SEDA in terms of making more renewable energy connected to the grid, energy system, being utilized by the consumers. Now we heard also now from the owner of the grids, how difficult these two panelists have made this life, so to speak. So, yeah. So it was a joke aside. I think we have heard a very quite informative ideas in terms of how the ecosystem works, from the policies all the way to the implementations. Let's have a quick views from, probably I could categorize you as the prosumer, as what Dato' Megat says, from Petronas perspective. You have the generation, and at the same time you are also the consumers of powers. So on that note, the question to you is that what is Petronas' strategy to support Malaysia's energy transition?
Okay, konnichiwa, good day, salam to everyone. Thank you to moderator. Thank you for your wonderful introduction for all the panelists. You've done a very good job. The only complaint that I have is that you did not introduce that myself and Dato' Megat has been our childhood friend. We grew up together since our school days, university days, and I can't stop from...
Just for later.
Yeah, for later. So, okay, going back to your questions, for Petronas, we are fully aligned with the Malaysia NZCE 2050 ambitions. We are aligned with the NETR. We are actively supporting all the targets that are stated therein, including increasing the renewable energy, including 45% reduction in carbon intensity by 2030. So we're doing all that. For Petronas, we are committed to what we call just and pragmatic energy transition. So what it means that we are very much focused on balancing energy security on the back of growing demand. The growing demand, whether in Malaysia, in Japan, and any markets or any regions that we serve in. At the same time, we also very focused on decarbonization, reducing the GHG emissions, and also enhancing the product offerings that we have. So for Petronas, our energy transition are anchored on three key pillars. The first one actually is strengthening our oil and gas production, but with reduced emission. So oil and gas or hydrocarbon is not the enemy. The enemy is the carbon emission or GHG emission. That's the first one. So from the cash that we generated from this core business, we are able to allocate partially to develop new energy solutions, whether that's be hydrogen, CCS, synthetic methane, biofuel. So that will be our second pillar. And the third pillar actually is reducing our GHG emission through at least four core areas. Number one, actually through legislation. For example, our LNG plant in Sarawak and in Canada is going to be driven partially by hydropower. Secondly, energy efficiency. Thirdly, zero flaring and venting under normal condition. So now, if you see there is a flare anywhere within our production, that means that's not under normal condition. That means some maintenance are happening. And the fourth one is CCS. We are developing 3 CCS hubs in Malaysia, not just for Malaysian needs, but also for regional needs, including the CCS that will probably capture and come brought from Japan to Malaysia. Having said all that, I just want to stress again, gas remains our key focus because of the energy security that we need to provide to Malaysia and all the customers that we have. In fact, gas remains 2/3 of our total hydrocarbon portfolio. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Azhar. Back to you, Madam Safina. A very quick one. What measures are being taken to enhance investor confidence in Malaysia's energy transition?
Thank you, Rumaizi-san. I will change the name. Now I'm in Japan. Rumaizi-san for the question. I like the title of this particular panel. It says we need to align policy, we need to align innovation, and we need to align investments. Because those are very crucial levers to actually realize the energy transition. Because it's going to take, it's very complex. As Megat-san said, very complex, and therefore we need to make sure that when we are implementing all the initiatives, when we are taking all the measures, that we all move in the right direction, in the most, I would say, efficient and effective way. So when it comes to ensuring this, it is really by, number one is policy first. Policy must have policy clarity. So what is the clarity within policy? How do we ensure it's harmonized between all the different aspects? And therefore, with policy clarity, we will know how to basically put in regulation and also initiatives that will promote innovation in the right way. For example, we want to promote innovation, as Megat-san said, in the grid, right? Because the grid requires innovation now to be able to integrate a lot more renewable energy. Supply now also requires innovation to actually produce cost-efficient supply of energy. Demand side also requires innovation so that there is sustainable consumption, and we generally tend to perhaps not emphasize more on the sustainable consumption aspect. That also requires innovation. So with that, knowing where to innovate, what kind of targets we want to, in terms of the product or the objective of innovation, and therefore the investments can come in, right? Because there will be clarity now in terms of where the investments can actually or should actually go to or should be channeled in order to basically achieve our overall goal within the energy transition. So that is essentially the role of how we look at regulatory development, and also in terms of developing the different initiatives and also the different incentives, so that we can all move together in the same direction and collectively achieve our goals together. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Safina. She actually, when she looked at me, when she says all those things, actually, this is your job. This is what I'm saying now, so that you can do it.
This is our head of strategy. You always look at him and say, now you need to pull the strategy together so that it's clear, right?
Thank you, Madam. Keep that in mind. That's one. Very quick one. So I know you have, talk about the green investment, the 10 billions, and 40% being foreign investment and whatnot. So, quickly on that, what role does SEDA play in mobilizing investment in renewable energy?
What role SEDA plays?
Play in mobilizing investment in renewable energy.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rumaizi, for that question. Actually, part of the answer is already mentioned during the first round. Of course, the main important program under SEDA is the feed-in tariff program, as I mentioned earlier. Is the program that we are offering quotas for a premium tariff that you will not get under any other programs. For example, under FIT 2.0, for the small hydro, it starts for the first 10 years, the tariff will be around 34 cents ringgit Malaysia. And the lowest, it will be a range between 28.8 cents to 34 cents. And also, of course, the biogas and biomass is much more higher. So, for the past few years, I've been talking in a few forums. I've been saying that, in my personal point of view, the price for renewables is wrong. People are thinking that green energy is cheap, but it's not actually. And since people are talking and discuss it during the COP28, everybody is pledged to come out with the financing, and until now we are still looking for the money. Okay. I mentioned earlier that Malaysia introduced National Energy Transition roadmap to achieve 70% net zero by 2050, and we also know how much we need. But now is the time to really sit down and look for the fund. Okay, beyond feed-in tariff, because the fund that we have under Renewable Energy Fund is depleting. Okay, maybe just now I mentioned 1,045 megawatts for under the FIT programs up to in the next 5 years. Beyond that, I can't mention yet, because we have to look into the fund. So the quota that we can offer is always depend on the fund. So back to the question for the investors. Since I joined SEDA, we are looking into a different approach. We are more engaging with the players. We try to make them with some investors. There are a lot of investors looking for RE projects in this country, in Malaysia, but they just don't know how it works and what program they should invest in. There are so many programs. Sometimes for those who first try to invest in RE, they get confused. What's the difference between LSS? What is CREAM? What is CRESS? What is NAM? Where is NAM now? There's no more NAM. So what's next? What are the rooftop programs? What is CELCO? What is CGPP? There are so many programs that make people confused. So my conclusion, if you don't understand or get confused, come to SEDA. Thank you.
There you go, folks. Now we know where, if we get confused, we know where to find the answers, right? Just contact the Hamza, and he will provide with all the answers necessary. So I think one of the way for the business, which is I observe, actually to move into decarbonization is to switch to electrifications. So on that note, what is the MB's role in driving Malaysia's decarbonization strategy?
Okay, thank you very much. I think Tenaga Nasional, as I mentioned, because we are involved in the full value chain of industry, we have a good opportunity with respect to helping or assisting the country with respect to decarbonization. And from that perspective, the strategy of Tenaga is to look at both the supply as well as the demand side. So in the supply side, the strategy that we have deployed, first is looking at the green generations. This is where we are actually building and developing RE generation sources, including large-scale solar on land as well as floating. So we are also doing some R&D with respect to offshore floating solar. Solar is going to be key, and we have now the so-called asset under development capacity that is almost 600 megawatt. That is, we have started construction on top of the current 130 megawatt that we already in operations. So increasing the RE mix is key for us to help the country and to help the company in terms of the decarbonization. Second, we look at what are we going to do with respect to the current thermal generation that we have, which are mostly delivered through the conventional fuel. So this is where the challenge that we face, because at the same time, the electricity consumption for the country is at the growing mode. We are, last year I think we experienced about 6% growth, and this year probably slightly less, but it's still a growth electricity consumption that we are facing compared to those some of the countries that made the growth has been stagnant. So here we are talking about we cannot simply shut down the so-called conventional plant because of the emission, but we have to still continue to generate to meet the demand. So this is where we are looking at how best that we actually reduce the emission. Again, I agree with Mr. Eza. It is not about the fuel that we are against. It is actually containing the emissions that we have. So in that aspect, of course, the first element that we do is to ensure that the machines that we are using is the most efficient, meaning that it should less burn the fuel to produce the same so-called megawatt. And here we are having a number of so-called plan. For example, in coal power plant, we start using the blending technology so that we actually can reduce the so-called emission. Second, we are also doing some study and pilot to respect to the co-firing of other fuel that can make the emission lesser as we move forward. So co-firing is going to be prominent, we believe, for both the gas power plant, and we're also looking at hydrogen to be co-fired with gas as part of the whole emission control. So efficiency is important, but at the same time there are technology elements that we are embedded in the current operation so that we can reduce the so-called emissions that we have to avoid. Third, of course, we are looking at a completely new fuel. So hydrogen is one of the fuel of promise of the fuel of the future. Here we are teaming up with Petronas to see how best hydrogen, green hydrogen can be produced in Malaysia, and hopefully we can have the next fuel as part of the whole generation mix for the power generation on top of the current mix that we have. And many people are saying that gas today is the transition fuel, but unless we find something that can be permanently, then I think this transition fuel will be a permanent fuel for the future. So if we can look at the other technology, for example, carbon capture and utilization and storage is one of the technology that is available in the market. And for Tenaga, we have started a pilot project for carbon capture and utilization. And from the perspective of the technical capture, we're also using the biological way through algae, how to capture the carbon. So all these technology innovations are required from the market, and this is why a company like Tenaga Nasional would like to have a good technology partners to collaborate to find the best solution with respect to the emission. So that is on the supply side. On the customer side, we look at the other industry with respect to decarbonization. So mobility is one of the industry that we think the power sector can, utility like Tenaga Nasional can assist with respect to adopting electric vehicle. So here in the country, Tenaga play two prominent roles. we are supplying all the chargers for EV. But at the same time, we are also helping and assisting the country by installing the public EV chargers. And today, we are glad to, there is an announcement by the Deputy Prime Minister yesterday. We have now about 4,100 of EV public charging. And as we can see from the first 6 months of the EV adoptions in Malaysia, I think the momentum is quite high, and we are positive that this is one area with respect to decarbonization that will happen in the country, that is in the transport and mobility sector. Second, we are also encouraging the customers to generate electricity by themselves. The availability of solar and technology. Solar rooftop is one of the key growth for Malaysia. And in that respect, Tenaga Nasional, we have our own subsidiary who provide a good affordability way for customers to generate themselves by deploying a method what we call zero capex for the customers, meaning that we can install a solar rooftop on the individual houses of the customers or factories at zero capex, and of course the return to the customers will be taken for the next 5 to 6 years as the payback period. So this is one element, the democracy of energy, that is we are helping the customers so that they can generate and enjoy helping the country to achieve the net zero. The third one, of course, is on energy efficiency. And many of us believe that EE is before RE, meaning that if we can focus on the energy efficiency, we can actually generate less with respect to that. You may not like, you may be surprised that I'm coming from utility, asking the customer to use less, but that is the whole intent, so that everybody can be efficient, so we can address the generation emission lesser, but at the same time encourage energy efficiency. So on the customer side, the focus is actually EE, RE, and EV. This is how we will try to help the customers and help the country in terms of the decarbonization. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mugat. We have a long list of questions to ask, but we only have very limited time. But I think to be fair to the audience, you've been here with us for 1 hour. So to be fair, I think I'm going to allow one question if you have, that you can ask any one of the panelists. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and I think the staff will give you the mic. Just state your names and where you come from, and then with the questions. Any questions that you want to ask any one of the panelists? Oh, good. So with that, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your patience and for your attentive in listening to our panels. And with that, we wrap up our forum for today. Thank you again. Thank you.